Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very fresh start to the morning. We're here in Djuma concession in the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera we have got Senzo, who's my wingman there this morning. Welcome aboard on Safari Live on this reality game drive. Now this morning I've just headed out and we found some lion tracks, and I think it might be the Nkuhumas. Now don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments and join us on this wonderful morning's game drive. So as I said, we've come out nice and early this morning, and it seems like those tracks of those lions had some sub-adults with them. There were a number of individuals with them, and they did leave the road. So now we've got to do the usual old hacking forward and backwards and trying to pick up on those tracks once again. Now Brent is out on foot, so maybe he'll be able to follow up on those tracks. I'm not quite sure on his plan for the morning, but I've told them where those tracks disappeared into the thickets. Maybe he'll follow up on them, but we'll see. And otherwise, Taylor is also out on the vehicle, and she'll be doing her best as well. And speaking of Brent, he's out on foot. Let's head on over to him.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the most magical place on earth, Africa at dawn. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Dangerous Dave, the dimpled dish, on camera, and we have Rexon with us with his long socks today. One's fallen because it's cold. And we've just heard some kudu alarm calling towards Gallagher, but we're trying to decide now. There's female leopard tracks there, and we're just trying to find out from Ralph exactly where those lion tracks are. So should we give him a call? I think so. While I do that, remember you can ask us questions on hashtag Safari Live or on whatever platform you might be watching on. Ralph. So we're now trying to decide. Do we go after the leopard? Do we go after the lions? That kudu's still alarm calling. Let's go leopard. Lions are easy to track. Leopard are hard to track. More fun. Come on, Dave. Keep up, Dave. I'm in the mood for a bushwalk. My toe is recovered. I can now. Who heard lion contact calls? Sorry, Luke. Puma heard lion contact calls at the dam, not sure what time. Well, we can't seem to get a hold of Ralph. Let's try again. So there's female leopard tracks, but there's kudu alarm calling, sounds like somewhere between Gallagher Pan and Gallagher Shortcut, but I'm not sure where these lion tracks are. Now, at about 10 past 5 this morning, I heard what sounded like a herd of buffalo stampeding up in this direction as well. Ralph. He doesn't want to talk to me, guys. There we go, he's talking to me. Ralph, confirm where the tracks of the lions are.
Found it road, which goes down towards the Milwaukee just after Ingas. You'll see them there all over the road.
Okay, guys, your decision. Leopard or lion? Hashtag Safari Live, you let me know. It's quite a difficult one. So, time to decide. Down, off, away. Now, quite often at this time in the morning, it's good to just listen. So we know we've got kudu alarming over there. Impala chasing each other behind me. Off they go. Now, I wonder what female this is. There's just so much noise this morning. Hyenas calling, impala snorting. Let's go see how Ralph's doing on those lion tracks while you decide which way we're going to go.
Yes, everyone, well, we're doing our best trying to catch up with these tracks. As I said, I'm just doubling back around and running now parallel to where we last saw those tracks. I'm picking up of all sorts of other different tracks here. I'm not picking up just yet on the lion tracks. Now, obviously, you're seeing me using this very strong little torch of mine, and the reason I do that is just to throw some shadows on these tracks, because if the sun's not up and at a nice low angle, it's quite difficult to see the tracks themselves, because there's not any contrast in the colors. So we're just driving along, just trying to get some contrast on it, but I'm not seeing anything just yet. So we just keep on. It's nice and fresh, early start to the morning. This is wonderful that we've got at least some sign of some big cats moving through the area. There's also some elephant tracks that I've just driven over now, and they're also going in the same direction as us. Nice and fresh too. They've been eluding me since I've been back on drive. So let's just carry on here. We're just looking. And as I say, now this is parallel to pretty much where we lost those tracks there. Not to say that they could be actually in the block itself. So Senzo, my wingman, will be keeping his eyes open there while he's trying to keep warm, because as I said, nice and fresh this morning. Okay, so while I continue on this tracking job of ours, trying to pick up on which lions exactly they are and try to get closer to them, let's head on over to Taylor, who I think can't wait to say hello.
Good morning. I cannot wait to say hello. I'm very intrigued by these lion tracks. I'm not exactly sure where they are, so I hope I'm not driving in the same area as all of you, but I'll try and find out a little bit. My name is, of course, Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and we are freezing. He doesn't want to take his hands out from underneath, out from his pockets for too long today. That's why it was so quick. I, however, am wrapped up in gloves and a scarf and, well, all these wonderful things. Now, when I woke up this morning, well, actually, when I opened up my door this morning, should I say, Brent walked past at exactly the same time, and then all he did was he looked at me and he pointed north and said, "Go there." So I was like, "Morning, Brent. Why must I go there? What have I done now?" And no, he just said he thought he'd heard a stampede in buffalo, which would make sense. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much, Luke. So Luke is directing. We'll have to be nice to him. So I know Rolf is checking around Central now for at those lion tracks. It'll be quite interesting to figure out where they come through. I actually went all the way down towards Gowrie Gates, and then we went along. We're on Buffalo's cut line now, driving, just looking slowly. Didn't see any buffalo tracks whatsoever, and there is a spot that they love to cross through on, but we're coming up to another spot. So I'm just trying to think what we should do. I think we'll just go along here just to sort of, well, I suppose help these guys. We're in the area sort of now, and we can sort of finish the story, find out where the story actually started. It's always quite interesting, because I know the Nkuhuma Pride have been on Simbambili, so have they done a sneaky, did they cross right at the gate, walk into Buffelshoek and come round, or have they jumped? Maybe they went to Arathusa, maybe they crossed in from Triple M, which is a road, one of the main roads, just like Buffelshoek cut line, but just a little bit further to the west. So we also had female leopard tracks. They crossed from Galago, though, into Buffelshoek. I wonder if it's Shidulu that's been moving around there. That seems to be the area that she's quite fond of. Tanti doesn't seem to venture so far north and west. No, James, I'm not sure if Tandy or Talamba will be around. We'll have a scratch for them, of course. I just want to figure out where exactly the lion tracks are, where they come from, so then I can move away from that area. So we'll try and check some of Tandy's favorite spots, which is, of course, Drakensberg, north and south. She does like a little bit of central, but if Rolf's there, he should see the leopard tracks, unless the lions have walked straight over the top of theirs. Their feet aren't particularly big, so they could get drowned out. Maybe it's even the Torchwood Pride pushing back a little bit further south. It's not like they haven't done that before. Perhaps this is going to become a common trend. You know what? There's something, I don't know if it's something on the road or if it's a branch, but it's... Excuse me. Seb, like up here, I think it might just be a branch in the road or like an overhanging tree. Yeah, it is. If you go up a little bit, that you see that one. That's actually what I was looking at from all the way over here. There's a tree and there's one little branch overhanging quite high up in the road. And from here, it looks like there was something maybe just sitting on the road. And it's always good to just check every now and then. I remember that was the first time and how I spotted Djuma. Not that we got any closer to him, but Liam and I were going, what is that down the road? Is that? And we said the same thing. Is it a leaf overhanging in the road or what is it? Anyways, for those of you that have never joined us on one of these live safaris, it's going to be very exciting. Hopefully we are going to find some lions and leopards for you today. But remember, you can interact with us because this is live and it is happening right now. So remember, hashtag Safari Live, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Now, I know Brent will be very excited to try and track down a pride of lions. So let's go and see where he is and how much closer he is to them.
Well, we're pretty sure these tracks are very, very fast. Rexon even joked, he said, well, I'm talking about tracks, he's going to find the lions. So I actually walked right past my house last night. So they're heading straight east at the moment towards the Mawati. So we're going to do that. We're going to be moving quite quickly while these tracks are this fresh. So it does look like the whole pride, most likely the Nkuhuma Pride. Let me wait for Dave to catch up so I don't stride ahead. It's the problem with these long legs. I keep leaving cameramen in the dust. Okay, so say these tracks probably at the earliest probably about 4:30 this morning, maybe even a little bit later. They definitely weren't here when I came out at 5:15, but as I said, I heard buffalo stampeding. Probably first time I heard it was around 4:50, around there. Watch out, Dave. So you can just see they've walked straight past. I'll show you the entrance to our house now. So you can just see that's where Sebastian, Jared and I live, down there. So they walked right past the entrance to our house at Engers. Ravinda, there doesn't seem to be any adult male tracks here. This just looks like tracks of the Nkuhumas. It's possible that they might be back, but if so, they've walked an incredible distance from the central Sabi sands again. Just impalas making noise. So noisy at the moment, and it's one of my favorite things about the dawn. You got the impalas, you got the Franklin, all the hornbills going. Hopefully we're going to have these lions in not too long, and it depends if they are hunting. If they are hunting, it does make it a little bit more difficult to follow them as they cross through the bush. Okay, now it's quite easy to tell the difference between male and female lion and leopard tracks, Judy. It's purely based on size. I mean, a male lion's track's nearly the size of my hand, whereas a female's will fit inside my palm. A male leopard will be sort of that size, and a female leopard even smaller. So as I say, it's difficult to show you here because there are only female tracks and sub-adult tracks here. So they were playing, jumping up and down. You can see that there. Look how big this track suddenly becomes. And that's of one leaping. So splitting, you can see it's pushed its foot down like this and it's jumped. So it's made it massive track the size of my hand, which makes you think it's a big male lion, but it's just a lioness playing. You can even see here the running tracks are much, much bigger. Okay, so we're going to speed up our tracking a little bit to try to catch up to these lions. In the meantime, I'm going to send you back to Rolf, who's also looking for them.
Yes, we are looking for them, everybody, and we've now doubled around. So we went onto the other side of the river, and sort of parallel to where we last saw the tracks now, and they haven't come out. So they've either gone down into the Mlawati and headed towards Twin Dams, or they're still down in the river. So we now are just snaking our way along down in the river region, and Brent is also on the trail. So this is now a whole work in progress. We need to now start eliminating, and then eventually we should be able to find out where they are. And as I say, We're just trying to pick up the tracks. Nothing as of yet. And we just keep looking. Here they are again. We've got them. Okay, here's the tracks. And this is by Pan, and I know this little road that goes through here, and then we can go down back into the river. So I wonder if they've... Oh, thanks, Senzo. My cameraman doubles up as a navigator as well. Let me just respond to Brent here. He's calling me. Brent, standing by. I've just picked him up again here near to Pan, that little road that where the elephants like to hang out underneath those that little Tambuti forest. So I'm heading now into the Mlolwati, following the trail. So there we go, everyone. Very exciting. Let's see. I don't have the exact... Minamu, that's a very good question. Thank you for that. And it is easier to follow tracks when you're on foot. Specifically the tracks, track for track, much easier. But it sometimes does help to have a vehicle so that you can double around and very quickly, like what we've just done now, check to see if the animals have, once you lose the trail, then you can very quickly go with the vehicle and check. So the best is to be working in tandem like what we're doing now. We've got Brent on foot and myself on the vehicle. I lost the trail and then very quickly came back and was able to find him. Now we just need to find our way through here. Kristen, this river does flow after heavy rains, so it can flow. Even it's a seasonal river, so and that's what a lot of these little rivers are here in the Lowveld or in the eastern part of South Africa here. As it rains a lot, then we'll end up having quite a bit of flow through these rivers, but then it's very quickly gone as well, and it does fill up the dams, and then the rivers stop flowing quite quickly again, and then there's just little pools. Now I'll just go into low range because I'm not sure if there's a big ditch here. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to try my best to catch up with these lions. We have those tracks now just up there, so we're going to see if we can find out where they've gone exactly. And while we're doing that, let's head on over to Taylor with her boundary patrol.
We are almost finished our boundary patrol. I suppose we weren't doing an entire boundary patrol. It was just a little one. We're down on Cheetah Cut Line now, and after this we'll head towards Chitwa and see if we can't relocate on Hosanna and Tingana. I think that will be the plan. Now, our lens is getting a bit foggy every now and then, so you might see a cloth come through. Just warning you, don't get a fright. It is just going to be Sebastian cleaning the lens. Sure, it's freezing, absolutely freezing today. I can't believe it. Winter has definitely just arrived. We always get surprised. I suppose it doesn't matter how long you work in the Sabi sand. We'll say it every year. And it's all of a sudden just got very cold, like we weren't expecting it. Anyways, and so I thought we would just come and check a little bit of the northern section and then also check down a Cheetah Cut Line. We know how quickly those cats can move, whether it be leopard and lion, and sometimes it is important. So it'll be good news if I don't find any tracks crossing out, and then that means that they have to still be in the property. So that is the goal here. I'm hoping to not find any lion tracks here. Now, I suppose this depends on a lot of different things, Romit, as to how far lions can travel in a day. I mean, if you look at the lions in the Mara, for example, in Kenya, they were traveling quite large distances. They also had a lot of space. I suppose that here they've got lots of space too. It would depend on how many different prides are in the area too, because remember the females will also mark sort of they'll have more of a home range, but then there's sort of central territory where they tend to hang around quite a bit. The same thing would happen here. Then it would be food availability, water. All these different things play a huge part in how far an animal will move. Now, lions need to be careful because they don't want to go stepping into somebody else's territory. It could be a bigger pride around there. They could find themselves in a bit of hot water, or who knows, maybe it works in their favor. Maybe it's a smaller pride and they end up pushing them, even further out and just opening up more space for them, which would only benefit them, which is why we see so many more lions down in the south. But male lions, look at the Birmingham boys. Males tend to do a bit more traveling than the females, as we know. They, of course, see not just one pride, but there are quite a few prides in their territory. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Birminghams walked, say, from, I don't know where they could walk quite easily from Mila and then be here in one night. And that would maybe be about 30 or 40 Ks in an evening. They could quite easily do that. No problem whatsoever. But again, there's a lot of variables that depend on the situation. And yeah, I think it's a bit difficult to say. But typically cats don't move around too much, especially if they have just killed a buffalo and they're feasting upon it. They might just move and have a drink of water. And then once that belly has subsided slightly, then then they might start trotting a little bit further. It must be tiring walking with a big swollen belly like that. Can you imagine? I'm exhausted after a Christmas feast, or just a big feast anyway, to walk to the kitchen to go and get a glass of water. Sometimes it's too tough, sometimes you just gotta go without water. I'm just joking. So it really does all just depend. Lots and lots of hyenas have been going up and down. It's always nice to see. I wish they would just start denning here on Djuma. I've miss seeing little hyenas. It would be epic if that could happen. But yeah, very quiet otherwise here. Not even a bird. Actually, I don't blame no birds. I wouldn't want to be out in this weather. Although if I was a bird, I'd be sitting at the tops of some of these marula trees. You can just sort of see how the sun is just hitting them at the moment. You can see there's one that's illuminated, so let's check that one. Seeing as I said, if I was a bird, I'd be up there warming myself. And you can already just start to feel the warmth. Hey, Seb, can you feel that? As soon as you stick your hands up, it's quite nice. Down here, it's still a little bit chilly. I even have my kakoi today. I didn't bring a shuka. I actually don't know where I've put my shukas. They're somewhere. So I've wrapped myself in a kakoi. Okay, so Ralph will be happy to hear this, that there are no lion tracks that I can see crossing out on Cheetah Cut Line, and we're fast approaching. What's that? Right, it is lions. Okay, hang on. Something is up ahead. It is lions. We're on Cheetah Cut Line. We won't stay long. Do you know what you can do? Is you can tell Ralph. He can keep coming. He's been tracking them all morning long. We'll have a quick view in case they cross out, but tell him to come to Cheetah Cut Line. We must be close to Mamba Junction now. But we'll have a look here and then we'll hand it off to Rolf, and then we'll just carry on going towards Chitwa. I know he's put in a lot of effort. Hello, lions. Who have we got? Just tell him to come on Cheetah Cut Line. I can't even remember. I think we're close to Mamba Junction. I'll get his audio and I'll tell him which way to come. He just needs to get to Cheetah Cut Line. Right. Who have we got here? Let's see, one young male. Those two are grooming themselves. I think this is the Nkuhuma Pride, by the looks of it. It looks like an adult lioness that's being groomed at the moment. Okay, yeah, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There should be 11, shouldn't there? 5 adults and 6 youngsters. So I'm pretty sure that this is the Nkuhuma Pride. There might just be one that's laying down on the grass that we just can't see for the moment. But to me, and I can also only see one young male, which we know is, well, part of the Nkuhuma Pride. Very nice. Lions, where have you been? We've missed you, that's for sure. I'm quite glad we actually came down here. Very nice to see them. It's been such a long time since I've last seen a lion. Wait. So, she didn't like that to be sat on. Chitty Chatty Meg, you're very happy about seeing the lions. Fabulous, I'm glad. I was just having a little listen just to make sure that I can't hear anything else. Now, good news for Ralph though is that they're not moving into Torchwood. They seem to be up and moving back in towards Djuma, so that's perfect. Let's hope that they keep going that way. What's on your eye? Like a little piece of fur. That's the young male we're looking at. And perhaps his eyelashes are a little bit on the wet side and have clumped together. Oh, there's an extra piece of fur. You gonna do a big yawn? Thank you. You don't look too happy. You look miserable. Absolutely miserable. Exhausted. Probably not enjoying the fact that they've got dew on their coats. They do look a bit wet, walking through the tall grass. And from the stories that their footprints have been telling us, they have been on the move for most of the night. Now, I don't think that they'll rest right here. They need to find some nice shady spots. Beautiful. Now, Brent is obviously quite chilly walking down in the Mulwati. However, he's found that thing in the sky that should hopefully warm us up.
Now, it sounds like we're a little bit too far and we couldn't run fast enough to keep up with those lion tracks. But, of course, last week the Avoca males came through here, and I've just found a deposit of the Avoca males, which is very, very interesting. So, as we know, when male lions come to take over areas, they eat cubs. And look at that. There we go. You've got the claw, and then you've got the sheath that goes over the claw, the keratin sheath. Probably from the size of a lion cub. So there's one that's still got its sheath on. Oh no, I just knocked it out. So obviously I don't want to touch lion dung. There's lots of horrible hohos that live in lion dung. I don't want to use my nice stick that I carry all the time to use it as well. So you can see, as I start digging through the dung, and you can see that this cub has been eaten by one of these Avoca boys. You can see there, it could be a leopard cub. I just think the size and looking at the shape of the claw that it is a lion cub that they've eaten. Now, not one of the or the sub-adult that's been missing from the youngest Nkuhuma that's been missing. You can see there's lots of signs of claws. Now, what I am actually looking for now is little teeth. So little lion teeth, because they should be in here as well. Now, there's so many prides around, and these guys go into the Manuletti, they go into Kruger. So I'm not. I don't think it's from one of the prides we know that they've managed to munch on a cub from. So I'm just trying to see if we can find a tooth. There's lots of little bits of claw, another bit of claw, another bit of claw, and also if you look at the bones. I saw a little vertebra. There's a little vertebra. Been cracked in half though. I'm trying to find a tooth. Now what I actually might do is come back here when I've got some Ziploc bags or something that I can pick this up, that it's going to be sterile, and then maybe we put it in the tent, because it is very cool to see. But I don't want to pick it up now. I don't have anything that I can pick it up without getting my hands in that stuff. So what I want to do is I'll come back later and try pick up some of these things from the dung and then sterilize them. And I just can't believe I can't find a tooth. Now, this is not uncommon behavior, Darcy Dull. New male lions moving into an area will kill cubs and often eat them. Meat is meat, and a cat must eat, and it is a nice easy little meal. So it isn't uncommon to see when you've got new males moving in, little bits of lion inside male lion scat. So you can see, there we go. So you can see the sheath, the keratin sheath, and then the bone of the claw that sits inside there. So this is from the Avoca males last weekend, I think, if I remember correctly. They were here last weekend. Oh, is that a tooth there? Because, of course, the keratin is unable to be digested. Now, from a meat point of view, Justin, very, very quickly. They digest their meat very, very quickly. But bone, normally little bits of fragment of bone like this get passed through in their dung. Also, well, claws that are made out of keratin, and hair are not digestible. As you can see, I think they've been eating nyala, zebra. Oh, is that a tooth? No, another claw. Is it another claw? Yeah, it's another piece of claw. Oh, shame. It was very small. See, now that bone, I don't think is from the lion cub. It almost looks like a bird bone. It's very hollow, very light, and you can see the color is quite different. So, lions will eat pretty much anything they can. I wonder what that one's from, because that doesn't look like the rest of the bones we're looking at in here. Just that one bone. Now, some of the bone chips and stuff will be digested. They obviously take longer to digest than... oh, maybe what's that in there? It's so difficult, and you don't want to touch it. Indeed, Christine, it is quite sad, but fascinating at the same time. And, no, I can't find any teeth. Now, sometimes they won't eat the whole cub, they'll eat half of it, so maybe that's why we're only finding the claws and no teeth, or maybe the teeth just hadn't worked their way through the system. So teeth and claws are two things that the animals can't digest. Well, lions and even hyenas can't digest. So if they do eat any of those things, you will find the little bits of teeth and claw and hair inside the dung of lions. And as you can see, you can't see any lion cub coloured hair. We're seeing quite a lot of black hair, possibly a nyala, wildebeest, buffalo, white hair, zebra, but it takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of time for these things to pass through. So, there's some more of those smaller bird-like bones of a different colour. It could be something small, maybe even a scrub hair. Actually, looking at it now. Okay, well, enough time looking at lion poo. Let's go look at some real live lions.
Okay, everyone, we've got the lions just here, and what a payoff that we've had, because we've obviously been tracking them this morning, and you see how that team works, eh? We had Brent out on foot, and we had and Taylor tracking on the other side. Now just there's a bit of a wipe coming there. We've got a bit of warm air that's been making the screen mist up a bit. So I'm just going to pop my nose in here, everyone, just to have a look on this side, and just to try and get a view on them. They're in the thick grass. And you're right if I go a little bit further. Are you sure? Thanks. I don't want to block your guys' view. Thanks. I just don't want to drive on them as well. Just watch. You see. There we go. There's a nice view on that one, but we don't want to disturb it too much. There we go. Okay, there we go, everyone. Looks like the Nkuhumas. Okay, thanks a lot, eh? Enjoy, folks. Wonderful, everybody. So we did see that on those tracks this morning, nice and early, that there were some sub-adults with them, and it looked like a lot of females. But I just got very excited and didn't look too closely at the detail. I just wanted to know which direction they were going, and Brent and I were very quickly in contact with each other, and then Taylor on her boundary patrol found them. So that was great teamwork, I think, all round. So, once we can get a nice little clearer view on them, try and identify these. So, sorry about that, with the cleaning of the screen, it's just a bit of condensation. Now, Macatak, a coalition, is generally more so to do with the males. That is where they join forces to make it better for them, or easier for them to be able to take over a pride, or to challenge a pride male, or territorial dominant male in an area, whereas a pride is mostly made up of the females and the youngsters. So you can have male and female in the pride, but the coalition is generally that group of males that come together with the same goal in mind, in trying to take over a pride, and also initially a coalition will be started just for pure survival and in trying to catch prey. So they pool their resources together, and together they are stronger. Whereas a pride being the collective forces of all within the group of lions. And the one, you see, we're getting this constant fogging up. There's another wipe coming, just so that you know, because we're just trying to keep this screen clear. You see, we've got a lot of cold air, and every now and then we get this warm patch. So like when you're sitting in your car, when it's warmer on the inside than it is on the outside, then you get that frosty color coming onto your window or on the screen. In a minute I'll go a little bit deeper in here, but it seems these lions were very active from, they've literally come past quarantine, crossed the Mlawati, probably gone past Twin Dams, come all the way up to Chitwa cut line, nearly at Chitwa. Eclair, thanks for your question. A single male can very often dominate or control a territory. It's not always coalitions that are just sort of the rule of thumb. But obviously it does make it easier if you've got a few of you. But there are still many territories just dominated by one male lion. And yeah, it's not always necessary for them just to have coalitions. Now, I'm not in the best position here. My shadow is being thrown straight over these lions. I'm just waiting for them they all seem to be settling off in a little bit of a better open patch, a little bit in front of us, and I'm hoping that I can get on the other side of them, and then we have some better light, because obviously they're in the shade here, and in the thick grass as well. There's another wipe coming, everybody, and Sensei really trying his best to keep that screen nice and clear for you. So yes, I am going to try and reposition and get us into a better view of these lions, and then maybe we can start to identify the particular individuals in amongst them, because we've got our little ID pack with us. I've got for the leopards, the lions and the hyena now, so we can have lots of fun identifying the different personalities. Okay, everyone, so I'm going to reposition, try and get us a much better view and have a look at these individuals. And while I'm doing that, let's head you on over to Taylor, who said when I left her that they'll be looking for leopard.
We were definitely going to start looking for leopards. Oh, that sun is so nice. I can't keep my eyes open, but it's beautiful and warm. But we've just popped onto Chitwa now. Hello, Impala of Chitwa. And there's an amazing bird party, actually. We see Impala all the time, and they're great. I love them. They're amazing. Let me just give them some acknowledgement. But on that fallen tree, there we go. There are lots of birds. There's starling, fork-tailed drongos, red-billed buffalo weavers. I think I even saw a magpie shrike at one point. And lots and lots of different birds just sitting in that tree. They all look like they're going to maybe come back. They're flying in and amongst the impala. There's that's the birch-hall starling now. So there's another starling. Now, they're feeding in the grass. There's a lot of red-billed buffalo weavers. And we know that they're gregarious. So they all go now. Something scared them. Oh, they're just landing here. There's a beautiful bird party. That's quite nice to see, actually. So not only were we seeing a bunch of birds, it was quite cool the way that they were feeding in and amongst the impala, and that definitely would work to their benefit, as you can imagine. If there are any little insects around, for those that are eating insects, they're going to definitely be stirred up, and they're going to be slow flying because they haven't warmed up just yet. It's still a bit chilly, which will benefit, of course, the birds. They won't have to be quick off the mark. They can have an easy meal, kind of like just driving through restaurant, not drive-through. Who have we got? Hornbill. Hello. You look freezing, aren't you, red-billed hornbill? You do not look impressed at all. And of course, as birds do, first thing in the morning, just like you and I, well, we should, is having a little clean, a little shower. Look at that funny little leg. Looks like they've got fluffy long pants on. And just making sure that all the feathers are nice and neat. Pulling out any old ones that are not needed. Gator Den. Nice. He said there ain't no party like a bird party because a bird party don't stop. I'm hoping you said it like that. And you did actions while you were saying that. You better have done some actions. And yes, no, they're very busy. So there we go. So we had magpie shrike, we had buffalo weavers, we had Cape glossy starlings, we had Burchell starling, and now we've also got a red-billed hornbill. So quite a few birds, and I can hear a whole bunch more also calling. Perhaps that's what this morning is going to end up being. Now, what I really wanted to tell you, but of course the birds caught my attention, is that there's a whole lot of lion tracks down here with young cubs. I'm assuming it's the Styx Pride. Now, I did chat to Peter and also try to get hold of Sheldon from Chitwa. Anyways, and they said that they think that there's lions on Little Gowrie. Somebody said something about lions on Little Gowrie. So with those young tracks that we saw on the ground, I can't think of any other pride that would be within this area. And the Styx Pride is one that has got relatively young cubs, under a year. There are some new ones, I think. I can't even keep up. I don't know when I last saw the Styx Pride. It's been some time. It's really pretty out here. Lots of different sounds. Magpie shrikes are calling. Now, beautiful red-billed buffalo weaver, very easy to identify with that bright red beak and sort of mottled white on their bodies. Consulting detective, this is not a hoopoe, obviously, and I can't tell you when I saw a hoopoe last. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure there will be some that will be around. We'll have a look out for them today. A little starling running out into the road, a Burchell starling, very long tail. Doesn't have a colourful eye like the Cape glossy. Off goes into the grass again, maybe just picking up the odd little termite. Bounce. Buffalo weavers. Now, giraffe girl, well, this is a nice question from you. The smallest bird will be the grey pendulum tit, and then the next one, which is the largest, is going to be the ostrich. We don't get to see ostrich very often, however, but they are around occasionally. Some of you may remember, when was it, in July last year, I was convinced that someone was walking around just leaving ostrich tracks on the ground. They were driving me absolutely insane, trying to catch this ostrich every single day for about a week, and everyone else was seeing it, and we just kept missing it. It was quite hilarious, in fact. And here we go. Two young impala rams, butting heads. I know, boys, shame. It must be hard for all of you watching the big, strong rams rut and compete for females, and well, you just have to keep practicing, but keep going. Next year you won't be a part of it either. Maybe in 2 years' time you'll have your opportunity to take on a herd for your own. Now, just because they are in the process of becoming sexually mature, it doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily have an opportunity to mate right off the bat. They're going to have to fight their way in and up the ladder. Amazing. Right, off you go. Back to Brent and see what else he's got in store for you on the bushwalk.
Well, since the lions have been found, we're going to head towards the south. Well, not to the south, we're sort of in the middle at the moment, but towards the west. So there was those tracks of a female leopard and a kudu alarm calling that Taylor heard this morning. And those tracks went into Boffel's Hook. But if it is Shidulu, she often does just a little loop and comes back along Sandy Patch. So what we're going to do is head up Philemon's, see if Okamuri's come back, go down Zoe's Road, up towards Sandy Patch, and then make our way slowly back towards camp. So probably about I don't know, 4.5, 5k walk or so from where we are at the moment, maybe a little bit less. And hopefully we're going to find some tracks along the way. And of course, it's so wonderful at this time of the year. There's so much stuff around. Now, we did see that very interesting lion scat a little bit earlier, where we had little cub claws and vertebra inside the scat. Brenda is wondering why you might only eat half. Well, it's possible the other male ate the other half, so they could have fought over the carcass. And sometimes when these male lions do takeovers, they do strange things. I've also seen male leopard eat half a cub and then just leave the rest. So it does happen. Okay, down the steep hill. So we're at Philemon's Dip at the moment. One of Hukumuri's favourite spots to walk. And all we got is the lion tracks that were coming up here. Those are the same lions, obviously, that Rolf was with now. That is also very true, be truthful. The Styx Pride had some small cubs. I'm not sure if they were that small, though. As I say, the evokers, so if we just draw a quick little... Okay, let's just do that there. I know, I need a bigger spot, Dave. Let me start over here then. Okay, so I'll start over there. Okay, let's just like that. Okay, let's just try think. Okay, let's do one here. It's not exactly true because there's some funny kinks in the fence here. So as far as we know about the evokers, so if we look at this, let me just try to think how my planning was. That's more or less right. Okay. As far as we know where the evokers have been, so this is Djuma here, this is Torchwood, that's Buffle's Hook, and then where are we? Djuma, Torchwood, so Chitwa is here, like that. Luke, oh, by the way, I forgot to say, it's Luke's first time directing, and he thinks we're going to, any tracker coming past is going to think we're playing hopscotch. Well, and then, actually no, it goes, no, that's right, and then we got, so as far as we know, the evokers, we've seen them here, around Twin Dams. They've been as far down as over here, into the almost to the Mala boundary below Chitwa. They've done a sort of loop like this. So they have definitely been in Styx area. They haven't really gone, they've gone straight through Torchwood, all into Buffle's Hook here, on the boundary of Nkoro. But the thing is, there could be other prides out here in the Kruger and up here in the Manuleti that have got small cubs. I haven't heard of the Styx Pride losing any cubs recently. So far, they've covered an area, what's this? This is 3, 5, about 8,000 or 9,000 hectares. The areas where we can get information and stuff like that. Of course, as soon as they go into Kruger, there's zero information there. We get some information from the Manuleti, but not much. So currently, apparently, they are around here in the Manuleti, the evokers. So at a place called Pungwe. So they were around there yesterday, 2 days ago. So it's possible that they've eaten a cub that falls outside of the sphere we know about, but we will keep our ears to the radios to find out if it was possibly one of the Styx Pride, because they did spend quite a while. They've done 2 forays right down here into where the Styx Pride's den on the Mawati River. Okay, now enough talking about lions and drawing in the sand. We're going to go keep moving, keep looking for leopard tracks, and in the meantime, let's send you back to Rolf and those big cats.
Thanks, Brent. And, well, everyone, these lions now we've repositioned, but they've also repositioned themselves nicely into the shade. It seems they've had probably a very active evening, as we saw from the tracks. And they've done a lot of marking along cheetah cut line. We found some of their scat, and we saw some spots where they were obviously spraying as well. And so they've done a whole patrol. Not sure if they did any hunting or not, maybe as they were crossing through the Mlawati and different areas there. But for the time being, it looks like it is now sleepy time. And one of the females was just grooming one of the others, and it seemed at the time that one there, she's got a very predominant little V cut on the top of her right ear, and she's also got a very dark nose. Now that we know is one of the oldest, or the oldest female within the Nkuhumas. Probably born around 2007, 2008. So she's hitting about 10 years old now. She has had a couple of litters of cubs, and well, it's nice to see that she's still doing very well. And this pride of lions, well, doesn't look like they're having too many problems. They all look very healthy. Little sub-adults as well, they're doing pretty well. Minamu, the survival rate of lions in the wild generally depend upon the stability of the area, and that all comes down to mostly the males and how well that they can hang on to their territories. Now, we do know that there seems to be a little bit of upheaval at the moment, where the Birmingham boys have gone a bit south towards Mala Mala, and we've got the Avoca males coming in a little bit from the north with the space that has been left by the Birmingham boys. So there is potential upheaval that could start, but these sub-adults that are here, they're old enough to be able to not be killed by those Avoca males if they had to establish themselves and start to cover these females. So it all depends on those males. Wow, look at that. So everyone, I mean, we're going to sit here and see how much they put their heads up, but this could potentially be them for the day. However, we're not going to leave them just yet, because we spent quite a lot of time tracking them this morning. But they're not going anywhere for now, so let's head you on over to Taylor with a very misty Chitwa Dam.
Have you heard from them?
This is amazing. Sorry, Sebastian doesn't have comms, I don't think. He just asked me if I've heard from them. Sorry, Seb. Look.
We are live.
We are obviously live, yes. This is my presenter voice. Look how incredible this is. Misty, misty, misty morning. Oh, wow. It is starting to lift very, very quickly. Sebastian, I wonder, do you think we should go round quickly to the other side?
About that, yeah,
What do you think? We'll have a quick look. I think if we take a gap, we do a mini Ferrari safari into that corner. I think that's actually going to be beautiful. So let's do that, because the mist is now lifted here. Wow, just going to quickly go back. But I think we can still make this work. So stick with us. I think if we race on around, I've got one glove off. I was obviously taking pictures, as you can imagine. I can't take pictures with my gloves on. Need to feel the camera. So pretty. Okay, are you ready? Is that a rock? That's a rock. I got excited. I thought maybe there's even going to be a hippo out of the water, but it isn't. False alarm. Sorry. I tend to get people quite excited because I do go, oh my goodness, and then it's nothing. It's a rock or a log. Just checking to see if I can see anything else that's beautiful. One very sleepy hippopotamus over there. I'm gonna go. John, you need to get low. Just trying to avoid the rooms. There we go. Having a look. There we go. Isn't that pretty? All very chatty now too. Pangolin, you've said it looks like a giant hot tub. I suppose, hey? I don't think that water would be very warm though. And not as inviting as a hot tub with crystal clear water and perhaps some bubble bath. You might get some bubble bath here, but it could be the urine frothing in the water. So, yes, like I said, not as inviting. A little bit of a wake from the hippos moving around that you can see just very gently. Looks like we're at the beach now. This is so cool. Really, really beautiful. Now, Sebastian and I put out positive vibes earlier, and we said we need a fish eagle to swoop down and catch something. And it all has to be in slow-mo, of course, in the mist. And that would be an incredible shot. I don't think there are many shots like that. You can't almost even see the hippos that are in the water. It's like this is a special effect, and it's not even real. I'm looking at my monitor watching, going, I would think that this was all sort of enhanced with some very fancy editing program, but it isn't. There's no smoke and mirrors here today. This is all just happening. All at Chitwa Dam too. Absolutely stunning. I find there's almost no words to describe a scene like this. Oh great, so you can hear everything that's going on. Well then in that case, then I'm going to sit quietly and just let you enjoy this. Sounds like there's a Land Cruiser taking off at rapid speed. In the distance, there comes another wave. When are we going to see somebody surfing one of these waves? Maybe there is already an ant, a little grasshopper lost out at Chitwa Dam. Goodness gracious. There's a hippo moving there. Must have been a hippo. It must be a hippo. That wake is still going. Let's see if somebody's going to pop out of the water. Now they do, when a hippo does charge at a great speed, that wake will be like 5 or 6 times the size. Kristen, I don't know where the crocodiles are, unfortunately. Yeah, there's definitely a hippo there. Look at that, look at the way it's moving. It has to be a hippo. I don't, it probably somewhere. I don't know where though. I wouldn't want to be doing much on a cold morning like this. If I was a crocodile, I'd probably be on the banks basking. I can't believe that was just the wave. There must be something pushing that. Yeah, there they are. There's 2 hippos that have just popped up. That's who's creating that wake, not those ones at the back, but there's that one that's coming in hot too. But that's what was creating wake. There was 2 youngsters following behind one another, creating that wake in the water. Now, it's when they run in shallow water. Well, they're not quite running like they run on land, but they sort of bounce like a man on the moon with, the lack of gravity. And you've seen how they bounce. That's kind of what the hippos do. It was really nice to see as well. Everyone will be very excited now that the morning is indeed warming up. Not as active as like we have had them on some mornings. Sometimes we're lucky and we get it almost like an afternoon treat, but first thing in the morning where they're splashing about. They're all just taking it easy. I think that sun on their face has probably put them into a comatose state, if you will. You all know the feeling. The 10 o'clock morning sun at work, your eyes get very, very heavy. Especially after a long night out eating in the chilly weather. I think that they'll be very happy to have the sun casting down on their back. Today might even be the kind of day that we see a couple get out the water and bake on the banks here at Chitwa. That could also happen. That would be nice. Oh, it's so peaceful. Just having a little look around to see if I can see anything else. Very chatty birds today. Also looking around to see if I can see crocodiles, but nothing just yet. They might just be out of sight on the other side of the island that we don't necessarily have access to. There's also a dog barking in the background. You may have heard it. That is the owner's dog. He lives here too. I don't know what his name is, but he's quite cute. Sometimes you see him running around when he's escaped. Blacksmith lapwings. All sorts of lovely birds. Some thickneys. Very beautiful. Right, we're probably going to move on from the dam. We're going to go and see what else is maybe walking in the mist. Or if you go to Ralph, who's got, well, lions laying in the grass.
Yep, everyone, it's not always the most exciting viewing lions when they lie down and go to sleep, doing what they do best, sleeping 18 to 20 hours a day. But, well, we're just sitting here trying to ID all the different individuals. And this one that's got its head up there, now unfortunately just a little bit behind the grass, but we're still having fun trying to see all the little individual traits. Now, within this pride, we're looking at the adult females, which there are 5 of, and there's also 6 sub-adults, which were cubs, obviously, and now they've grown up a little bit. But when we're looking at IDing them, so this one is a full adult. It looks quite fresh. There's not too many nicks on its nose. You see how very pink that nose is there as well, when we do get to see it. There are a couple of little dots on the nose, and that seems like the youngest of all these adult females. She's got quite a fluffy chin as well, and well, I'm sure that you would have seen the little sort of doco that was put together by all the staff here, and it was about the white mussel disease, which did claim quite a few of the cubs around 2016. So that's why there's only 6 remaining of the cubs, because a lot of these females did have cubs, but a lot of them were claimed by that unfortunate disease. But, well, the rest of them have come through, and that's part of survival of the fittest. A YouTube viewer, thanks for your question. I'm not exactly sure on what has been the largest pride here on Djuma itself. I do know that the largest prides per se that we get presently have been around the Botswana area. And I'm talking in southern Africa. Those are super prides of 30 plus. But I would say that here on Djuma you're probably looking at a very big pride being around 20, just plus of 20 individuals. So here we've got 11, and then if the coalition had to join them, or the Birmingham boys, then you're talking sort of around that 16 mark. So I would say the big pride being around 20, 21 of them. Jacqueline, thanks again for your question as well. Females, when they do get a bit older, they can be sort of pressed out by the younger females. It all depends on how dominant that older female is. If there's a younger female that does sort of try to challenge her for her spot in the hierarchy, because they are hierarchical within their system there as well, then there is that potential that sometimes they can be pushed out. That does happen. I've seen quite often. You can even have young females that are also pressed out of the pride. So it's not always that they just join forces and remain within the pride. Now that's that older female, I do believe, that's got that hip injury. Unless it's a new one, it does look like an old one, and that has been since 2017, so last year September. And that confirms that we were right, Senzo. That's the oldest female. I didn't see that over there. Well spotted. Now, gyro lamb, I think that is a good question, but it goes across the board with animals. If you want to see a female at her most dangerous, just try and attack her offspring. And female lions will defend sometimes with their lives, their little cubs, but male lions generally, because they're almost double the size and weight of a female lion, they're generally going to come off first in that kind of battle. So generally, eventually, the females will back off, but they will put up a good fight, and they sometimes do win, and they keep the males at bay. But eventually, if the males want to kill the cubs, it's normally a foregone conclusion that eventually they will, unless the female decides to take them and run. So, well, I think we're going to stay here a bit longer and try and identify a few more of these individuals. But from these lazy characters to small little busy critters, let's head you on over to Brent.
Well, from the largest member of the order Carnivora in Africa to the smallest. And they're not too busy at the moment. Oh, they disappeared. Oh, they all went down the hole. But there were quite a lot of little dwarf mongoose. Maybe just come here, Dave. To the right a little bit. There's a gap. You can see one there. Keep coming. You got him. Here we go. So busy sunning themselves this morning. He was there. Now they keep. Just come this way a little bit, Duff. There's a hole. You can see them there. No, like midway. His head just poking out of a hole. But they're not being very kind to David. Got him. Here we go. Hello, little one. So as we walked up here, there were about 15 or 20 sunning themselves. They got a little bit of a fright and they dashed down into the safety of their burrows. Now at this time of the morning, they're waiting for the dew to sort of subside. They're warming themselves after a cold night. And it's often very nice. Oh, right up top left, Dave. There's two just peering at us. There we go. You see them? Here's one running down. I think they are behind the bush for you. Oh, shame now. They're not making life very easy, so we'll keep moving. Now, I know someone was asking Ralph about the biggest pride that's ever been seen here. So I decided to ask the expert, Rexon, who's been here longer than all of us, and he said the Nkuhuma Pride got up to close to 30 individuals with 10 adult females at a stage, and then the Mapoho came. Killed quite a few, and then of course, I don't think the Matimbas killed any, but then of course the Birmingham coming in again, they killed 3 adult females, leaving them to sort of, I think it was 4 adult females. Now we're on 5 adult females. So it's not uncommon for lion prides to go to big numbers and then completely crash with a coalition takeover, or sometimes they get big enough that they split and form two prides, because 30 mouths is a lot to feed. So often 2 or 3 females will move off with their offspring, and it's easier for them to provide enough food for their cubs in smaller groups. So you do get mega prides or monster prides, and but they generally don't stay as a monster pride. Baboon. Some baboon shouting off in the distance towards quarantine, but they don't stay as a monster pride for very long. As I say, it's just very difficult for the females to produce enough food for them. Now, I haven't seen many African vagrants, which is one of my favorite butterflies this year, and I haven't even seen one of the larval stage, the caterpillar stage. So I keep checking all the peanut butter cassias. Okay, well, we're coming into an area now We're going to start concentrating on the tracks. We're hoping that Hukumuri has come in from the west, so we're going to start staring at the sand again. But let's see what Taylor's up to now that she's left Chitwa waterhole.
The road. Oh no, I don't. Hello, sorry, we can see something. Let's just go around. Oh, there's a road here. Let's go on the road. Sorry everybody, we've just seen something. We're trying to work out what exactly it is. It could be anything. It could be a leopard laying in the grass. Can't really see what's Seb. I think I'm a bit low. Seb, I should see it now. I sort of see what you're talking about. Let's go and have a look. We can just drive right up to it there. I don't see ears just yet. Is it a little stumpy hidden in the grass? Rock? Piece of, like an old pipe. Actually, you know what it is? It's like an old pipe of something. I don't know. Going into the ground. Perhaps some kind of like a ventilation. I don't know what that is. Anyways, we can't remove it. It goes into the ground. A good looking, good spotting. So we're of course looking for anything. Oh, chat. We saw some guinea fowl. They weren't too much fun this morning. They were just being normal guinea fowl. We only like them when they're alarming for a predator, or if they are just being hysterical, like when they come down to the dam to roost up in the big tall trees. That's always quite cool, because then they're chasing one another. Then it's normally quite pretty at that time of the day. So we did have male leopard tracks, some young male leopard tracks. I wonder if there are perhaps more favourite young man's tracks, but I don't know. So I'm just having a little scratch around. And if there are Hosanas, for those of you that have no idea who Hosana is, he's a young male leopard, the son of Kruger, who's sadly no longer with us. He's about 2 years old or so now, just over 2 years. And he likes to meander. He does not walk in a straight line. He goes off the road, he comes back, he does a circle, and then he does a little loop, and then he's back again. He does all these wonderful things, so it can be quite difficult to figure out where he's going. Now, Cecilia, just speaking about the Sabi sand, the difference in temperatures between the two main seasons, winter and summer, is quite drastic. So it's quite nice though. We have fairly pleasant and mild winters. So now as we're heading into winter, I'm going to stop up ahead because there's a hornbill, and then I'll carry on telling you about all of this. So I'm going to get up a little bit further. You stay on the ground, birdie. Just do like that. And it's a yellow-billed hornbill. So basically, now in winters, we can expect the mornings to be very, very chilly. For us, I'm saying it's cold. We don't get snow here. We don't know what snow is. So for all of you that are going to tell us that it's not cold, please understand that a lot of people in South Africa don't even know what snow is. I've never seen snow. I've never felt it. I've never done anything. So for us, it's cold. And the temperatures can get down to about, oh my goodness, some mornings drop down to about 3-4 degrees. But I would say an average winter morning is probably between 6 and 8 degrees, and then it starts to warm up quite nicely. And then once you get to the middle of the day, it's normally mid-20s, 20 degrees Celsius, somewhere around there, and beautiful clear skies, and often not a breath of wind. It's very pleasant. So you can still walk around in shorts and t-shirts. And in the afternoons are warm, and then they start to get a bit cooler too. In summer, it's exceptionally hot here, and some of the hotter days we've had it where it's been in excess of 40 degrees Celsius, but an average temperature is normally about 35 degrees Celsius, up to about 38 in February, January, February, the hottest times of the year. And then, I mean, the coolest temperature in summer will be around 20 degrees. So you're in shorts and a t-shirt permanently. It's exceptionally warm. But the chill factor that you get from driving open vehicles definitely drops it down a little bit. But this bird doesn't seem to be too bothered right now, though, by the cold. It's found itself a perfect perch. Off it goes. And well, on that happy note, off you go to Ralph, whose cats seem to be wanting to get away from the sun.
Yeah, that is very true. Look at that. They definitely not sun seekers, are lions, and they've all gone very flat now. And that's what we often say when we're watching lions, flat cats. Well, the odd flick of an ear or the swishing of a tail. Look at that one, it's got a bit of a tick in the black part of its ear. And there, lions do get quite full of ticks as well. But the aloe grooming that they do does help, as well as their own grooming, personal grooming too. But I just want Senzo just to come in here and we'll have a look at the little identification that we use with these Nkuhumas, because obviously they can all start to look very much the same. So we've just been using this, and I obviously try to use it as well, because these are new individuals to me. So these are all the adult females, and first one here being the oldest. She was born 2007, 2008. She's got a chipped lower right canine. Her face is also lighter than the others, and she's the only one with a dark nose over there. So that was quite easy to see. She had a very dark nose. She's also got a little bit of a injury below her left eye. So that was quite easy for us to see. She was the one with her head up that we did see for a little while there. And yeah, obviously now it's difficult for us to see anything because there's just a brown mass of animals there. But the ridge-nosed female, she was born 2012. She's got dark ridges that run from the corner of her eyes. She's got pink nose with small little spots on it too. And all of these females have had cubs. But with differing sort of successfulness. Then we move on to Purple Eye, which is obviously a very easily identified female. It seems her eye was injured in April 2017, and as a result it has turned slightly purple. So quite easy to see that. Then we have the Amber Eyes, which she is also quite easy to recognize with that very, very different colored eyes. They're a lot darker fawn color and going into that amber hue. She's also got a small neck on her top right ear with a V shape. So that's how we identify her. She's got strange marks on the back of her neck as well. And then the youngest one being the fifth female. And she's got a pink nose with small little spots, a nice fluffy chin over there, and she's also had quite a few female cubs, but quite a few of them died as well. So that's it. Well, that's what you can see. At least you can see their faces on our ID chart over there, because when we're looking at the pride. Anne, you're asking a good question. Which one is the mother of the young male in the pride? I do believe, let me just check. It might be the youngest female, actually. Two died. It's either the ridge-nosed, Purple Eye, or the youngest. Because there was quite a few males, but there was also quite a lot of mortality. So I'm not exactly sure. That's a good question. But as I say, there was the ridge-nosed, Purple Eye, and the youngest. Oh, there's a bit of sneezing going on. Now, Lauren, I think it's always difficult to tell what's going to happen with the young males, because they've probably got the hardest life of the lot. The females, they will, if they're in a nice established pride like this, they're just going to be remaining with them and continue with that pride for the rest of their life. The males, however, they need to go out and try their luck with both surviving, catching food, and then trying to evade dominant males initially, and eventually trying to take on their own pride. But if they can find another male in the area that is of similar age, that is also now solitary, then they could pool their resources. But it's never for sure. So a single male born, well, obviously he wasn't born alone, but the other males have died. He's got a lot less chance than, for instance, if there were 4 or 5 young males here. So I'd say that his chances are highly diminished in comparison, but it doesn't mean that he won't go out of this pride and go find some other males of similar age that have also been kicked out, and he might get lucky. But if you look at it as it stands, I would say his chances are slim. But that's not to say that he's not going to make it all the way and be in charge of a massive coalition. Now, there was a question that came in about how many male lions have black manes, and what is the reason for it, which is a good question, I would say. That's fantastic. It's generally the lions that we find in the Kalahari. Oh, thanks. Old Luke in FC. It's Luke now who's in charge there. He just reminded me that it was Pangolin. Thanks for your question, Pangolin. It is actually, historically, the lions that come from the more desert biomes and areas like the Kalahari and up into the Namib that have black manes. And I have a feeling that it has a lot to do with the kind of habitat that they live in, because of that very hot environment, and as well as being, it seems like that blackness, it must have something to do with the thermoregulation, because for me that a lot of coloration with animals has sort of the use being in that department. Now, I'm not exactly sure on the specific nature of how that would help. Obviously, black would be more absorption of heat. So in the desert, you do know that it gets very cold at night, extremely cold, because it there's not much to retain any of the heat of the day. So it might be down to that. But I'm not quite sure. That makes sense for me with those desert type lions, the Kalahari, and moving up into the Namib, and even up into Etosha. And so it seems the hotter the environment, and the colder or changing of temperature results in lions having much bigger and blacker manes. So I think I'm going to now head off and see if we can find some tracks of some other animals, maybe find a leopard or two. But while we do that, let's head you on over to Brent on foot and see how he's going.
Well, it's time for a tracking quiz, I feel. So we've got 3 tracks for you. 2 quite easy and 1 really difficult one. So we're going to start with one of the quite easy tracks. Isn't that a beautiful little track in this morning light? Isn't that stunning? So very small. To give you an idea of size, what I'll do is I'll put my thumb next to it. So that is track 1. And see if you can figure out what that is. Remember, hashtag Safari Live for the answers. Track 2 is an easy one. There we go. Quite big. I'll put my thumb next to it again for reference. So, quite big. Very rounded. That's track 2. So these are the 2 easy ones. Now the third and final one. This is the difficult one. So, here we go. That is it there. That is track 3. Hashtag Safari Live. If you think you know the answers to these 3 tracks. This is very, very difficult one. Let me just actually see if there's let's show you another one quickly of the same thing. Let's just see if there's one in the light. Oh, there we go. Any of these will do. There's one there. So, quite a difficult one, but that is track number 3. Now, Carol, you need to say track 1, track 2, and track 3. But the one thing I can tell you for sure, Carol, is none of them are Impala. So, there you go. So, we're now on Zoe's Road, and we're hoping to find any sign of Hukumuri coming in from the west. This is one of his favorite sort of areas to walk. One of my favorite areas to walk as well. Now, I'm just trying to find you some panicum. Patty, you're on the right track, but number 3 is not an owl, but it is a bird. Look here, Dave. I'm not going to touch it because it looks... You see that little junction there? It looks like a little spider has made itself a home in the grass there. So it's woven all the little grass seeds together to form itself a protective area. Ooh, very close. Very, very close, natural light fee. It is not a thickney, but it is one of the birds you do see on the road at night. Very close, but not a thickney. Now, so far, no sign of any... Wow, guys, I thought 1 and 2 were quite easy. So track 1 is not the track of Tundi's cub. Let me just find, I saw it again here somewhere, the same animal. Okay. There's the same animal. That same animal, Tundi's cub track, is probably about that size in comparison. So more than double the size of that tiny little track there. Okay, well, you guys are going to have to do some racking of the brain. In the meanwhile, let's send you across to Taylor to see what she's up to.
Isn't that weird that I was waiting for you, looking at you all? So we just literally found some male leopard tracks. I'm going to turn around and show you. And we've been driving on Chitwa. It's been fairly quiet. I thought like I said earlier, I thought we'd had Hosana's tracks, but I didn't really know where they go. And then, what we did have... I'm literally driving into sand to try and go up in this car. That was really pathetic, eh, Sebastian? Going as slowly as you can, imagine. And foot is not even off the clutch yet. And this car doesn't want to go into a sandbank. Instead, it just hits it like it's like cement blocks. Anyways. So you okay, Seb? I mean, I couldn't have been going any slower. There's male leopard tracks. They come out of Torchwood, so I don't actually... So I'm just getting my koi off now. You can sort of just... Yeah, there they are. See there. They look like from late last night because the dew, I think, has settled over the top of them and sort of cased them, but I wonder whose footprints they are. There's a definitely male leopard tracks. Now, we know that old boy Tangana was also ended up in Chitwa, and so did Hosana. Could be either one of them, or it could also be somebody else. Quarantine, maybe? That's definitely a possibility. I'm looking at some birds chirping, but I can't see what they are. So let's just see if we can see where exactly they go in. I haven't seen Kuchava's tracks, which is another leopard with a young cub. I haven't actually seen any sign of her for quite some time. But like I said, these are from last night, so I mean this leopard could be in Mala by now if it carried on going south. Have a quick little look. I didn't see any tracks when I came down this road, and I think I was the only one that... Oh, no, maybe one other person drove it this morning. Lots and lots of civet activity, which has been quite nice. Chitwa seems to be a popular property with genets, civets, seen honey badger tracks as well this morning. Lots of little creatures of the night moving around. I hope to catch them one evening on the go. That would be fabulous. I bet you'd all be very excited. So we'll just slowly go up and along here, and then we're gonna have to check one or two little dodgy signal spots just to try and figure out what happened. I don't know where those tracks go, and there's a lot of activity and people driving up and down this road. This is one of the main roads, so anybody coming from Coral side or from Cheetah Plains, coming out of Torchwood down here, they're gonna have to use this main access road. And it sounds like they did find the Styx Pride Alliance on Little Gowrie, so not too far, somewhere near the dam. They could pop onto Chitwa again at any point. Siberia Zumi, you're hoping that those footprints belong to Quarantine. You'd like to see it. Me too. I would definitely like to. That is Hosanna's older brother. He's a beautiful leopard. It's been a very, very long time. Shame. The day we desperately tried to get him. Remember, we must have just missed him. I think, Seb, it was you and I again. Remember, we just missed we must have missed him, maybe about 2-3 minutes. It was a very, very, very short period of time that we missed him by. But that's just how it goes, hey? Especially when a leopard is on the move and on a territorial mission. They just keep going and going, and they don't stop. So yeah, so it's very quiet. Lots of birds though, but they all seem to be flying around now, not perched on a tree or feet on the ground, sitting nice and still for us. Let's hope that... Oh, here's a bird. Oh no, never mind. It flew away. It was a fork-tailed drongo. It doesn't want to be seen. What else can we find? Oh, right now I believe you've been playing all sorts of games with Brent this morning and trying to figure out what the tracks were. And I believe Brent might have.
Yes, and strange enough, all 3 sets of tracks are still continuing down the road here. So, well, and I've only got 2 of the 3 now. So we've got all 3 of the same sets of tracks still heading down the road. Well done, consulting detective, and be truthful. Indeed, it is a little Janet. There it is, still there. Tiny, tiny, tiny. About the size of my thumb. Beautiful little animal, and leaves a beautiful little track. So there we go. Well done for getting that one. Now that was one of the easy ones. Now number 2 is also quite an easy one. So let's see who gets that. Number 3, I'll be impressed if someone gets number 3. Indeed, indeed. Well done, Jared's buddy. It is indeed zebra. There's a bit of a clearer track. So those of you who have horses or donkeys will recognize the shape of that zebra track quite easily. So there we go. Well done, Jared's buddy. Well done to Natural Light Lee. That is indeed a bronze-winged courser. So a thick-knee track would be bigger and the toes would be fatter. I will try find a thick-knee track so we can have a look at it. But well done. That was not an easy track to ID. So the thick-knee toes sort of go out like this. They're sort of fat toes compared to the bronze-winged courser. That has got skinnier toes and it's a slightly smaller track. It's a smaller bird. Now, no sign of the hook coming in just yet, but we are enjoying our morning stroll. We haven't seen much in terms of animals since we left those dwarf mongoose, and I think we've only seen the dwarf mongoose and then the wildebeest, zebra and impala on quarantine. That's all we've seen so far this morning. It's been quite quiet out this side, but it is absolutely stunning this morning, and very, 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 very wet if we step off the road. Aha! Now, we've been looking at all sorts of tracks, but it sounds like Rolf is following suit and doing some tracking of his own.
All right, everybody, have a look at this now. You've just been doing some nice tracking with Brent, and he showed you some Janet tracks, which are also quite nicely showed here on the road here, but not as easy from the vehicle to show you that. What I do want to show you is something that's been walking up the road towards the camera. So it's walking through here, and I just want to see if you are able to see the sort of pattern that this animal was walking on. It was going at quite a nice slow pace, just a normal walking speed, and it's been walking through there. There's some nice little track over there. as it's come through here. Now this is, while we're walking, while we're driving, these are the little signs that we'll be looking for. It's probably just a little bit smaller than the palm of my hand. There's another one there. There we go. There's another one. There's another one. Now, at a normal walking pace, what I want to show you is that if you take, for instance, if I had to start like this, okay, and I walk at a normal walking pace, and I go, okay, so we go back, there's my left foot, there's my right foot, and I started off of my right foot. So there we go. There's now my right foot, the tip of my right foot over there. Now if I lie down, you will find that mark will be at my shoulder, okay, at a normal walking distance, or pace, should I say, which is right there. So at a normal walking pace, you can find out from an animal from right foot to right foot, and it's the same foot. So obviously front right to front right. So let's try and work this one out here. There is a right front foot to there is another right front foot. So that will be its bum, and that will be its shoulder. So we're talking an animal about that big, and I would say probably around that high. And these tracks are that of a leopard, and I'm thinking that it might be Tandi's cub, because it's not a very big leopard. I think it might be Tandi's cub. And if we come in a little bit closer here, Senzo said he could see this one quite clearly. It's a small leopard track. See my hand there? It's a small leopard track. We know the sort of length of it, a little bit of the size of it as well. And here we have a nice close-up of the little track. So, everybody, I think we need to now try and take these tracks and see if we can find it, because we know that Tandi's over on Torchwood, but she's with a kill, and it sounds like the hyenas have just stolen it from her. Maybe she's going to come back here. I think we need to circle around here a little bit and see if we can find this cub. Don't you? Righty. Let's plug in, and I can hear what's going on, and then we can see if we can follow up on these tracks. Ramit, well, we always try to learn something new, but thanks for your comment. I just try to impart my knowledge, what I know of the bush. A lot of it I've learned from other people, so I can't keep that all for myself. I need to try and show everybody how we track, how we work things out, and how we put the little pieces of the puzzle together. And that's a very important piece of the puzzle, if you're able to distinguish not only the track size, but the animal size and its length. Well, and that's all just from the track. It's absolutely incredible what you can do from a track. Absolutely amazing. Now I think this animal might have gone into the block over there. Now I'm thinking it's Tandi's cub, but it could be a young female. It's a young female. That's all I know for now. So whether it's Tandi's cub or not, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so while we try and get some more signs of this animal and see if we can maybe catch up with it, let's head you on over to Taylor and see if she's been able to catch up with anything.
Well, we can definitely say there was a big male leopard patrolling around, Ralph. That was quite exciting. Will be a new leopard for you. I think that it is quarantined just from the area. We follow those tracks, and then they start going up and down the old Cheetah Plains driveway. We can't find any more. I suspect, again, it's a very busy intersection. Some of the tracks were driven over, so it was from earlier this morning. I think that cat went a little bit further, either south or a little bit more east, and that is Quarantine's turf. And he has been seeming to be pushing a little bit further sort of north and west, and it'll be quite exciting if we can start to get regular sightings of him. So just footprints for now, but definitely prospects for the future. Oh no, I believe that the gremlins are attacking me, but luckily Brent's here to save the day. He's found something on the floor.
We have. It's time for another tracking quiz. So this is a very cool set of tracks. Now, the tracks we're looking at are these little ones that run side by side here. So they're like that, running parallel. And remember, if you know the answer to this track, hashtag Safari Live. Now, I am going to give you a little clue, because this is quite a hard track. Now, the creature that made that track lives in a hole, but it lives in a very specifically shaped hole. And we've got one over here. This one's disused, but you can see they have done some housekeeping here during the rain, but I think it's abandoned the burrow now. And you can see it's dug out that darker colored dirt from underneath, and you can see a very specific shape of the hole lets you know what type of creature lives in it. So you've got the track and the house. Now you have to tell me, what animal is it? Hashtag Safari Live. What made the tracks and what lives in a house like that? Okay, so far we have not had any luck with any nice leopard tracks on. Oh, Rexon's marked, but that's an old Hookamari. No, yes, it is old Hookamari track. Okay, there's a male leopard track, as I was saying that. No, it's not a male leopard. I absolutely lie. It's a single lioness by herself. Rexon did say he thought one of the lionesses wasn't with the pride. He said some tracks were following behind, so maybe one of the lionesses got lost. I just thought it is definitely a lioness. It's too big to be a male leopard. And then if you look at the shape of the toes on this one here, you can see they're quite pointy. Leopard have a much rounder toe. Okay, well, it's just there's lion tracks everywhere. Now, I just didn't hear who said. Someone said it's the world's smallest aardvark. I think it was Carol. Carol, no, it's not. The world's smallest. The world's smallest aardvark. But natural light V, you are spot on. It is indeed a scorpion. Judging from where we found the tracks and the size of the holes that are around there, it is probably Glabrophons, the shiny burrowing scorpion. And quite often we do sometimes find where those holes have been dug up, and they are quite a favoured food of the honey badgers. Now, YouTube viewer, I have not seen any aardvark tracks just yet. If I do see one, I will definitely show you guys the tracks. But no, I haven't seen any aardvark tracks along the road yet today. Now, we are heading into an area where there is a lot of aardvark burrows up around the Gowrie repeater. So hopefully we will find some aardvark tracks. Or, you never know what happens in a live safari. We might even find an aardvark. Dave, are you feeling lucky? I'm feeling lucky. Maybe an aardvark. Oh, I would be very, very happy. Anyway, let's go see where Rolf is jetting off to next.
Thanks, Brent. And well, everybody, it seems this cub, I can see where it's gone into the block, but these tracks are so fresh that I think I might have even spooked it as I came along. Now, remember, I do believe this is Tandi's cub, although it could be any other young leopard. Nonetheless, it's a young leopard, and well, if it's jumped off into the bush because that's how it's surviving at the moment when mommy's away, I would prefer not to do too much searching in there and trying to bother it or scare it from the vehicle. That's probably a fantastic survival strategy. It's heard a bit of a noise, so it's just made itself inconspicuous. And if, like I say, if a leopard doesn't want to be seen, you won't see it, and there's no then point for me to go zigzagging in the bush there and actually just disturbing that little cat. So I think we're going to give that search a miss now. We'll leave it, And just because of the pure ethics of now trying to search for a little cub on its own, well, it's getting almost away from being a cub, but it is still a cub. It's a youngster, and so let's leave it. Be truthful. A scorpion won't particularly be able to kill a leopard. Maybe a little young leopard that gets stung by the old Transvaal thick-tailed scorpion, and the ones in Namibia, the Parabuthidae, the ones that I used to find, they are completely black. They're almost as big as my hand, and they have massive stingers. That potentially with a young little cub leopard, yes, there is a chance that it could kill it. Now I just want to see, we've got a little grey go-away bird that's having a drink. Let's watch him there. So there is potential, but only for the little youngsters if they get stung. Now watch this grey go-away bird have a drink. When they're older, I think they would be able to handle it. It would obviously really hurt them, but it wouldn't necessarily kill them. And these grey go-away birds, you don't often see them on the ground like this. As they come down for a little drink. They are frugivores. So they'll eat all the berries and fruits that they can find. And also probably quite a high water requirement. A lovely crest that they have on their head as well. It's almost like a parakeet. Go on then. Oh, there's another one. Wonderful. You see how they've got to lift their head up to swallow down because they don't have a gullet. So birds like doves and Corey bustards, they don't need to do what these birds are doing now. You see how he slurps it up and then he has to lift the head to get it back down. There's doves and Corey bustards. They can keep their head down and swallow. He's had his little drink. And he's shuffling up. You see, they're not that great on the ground, are they? Back into the air. Quite vulnerable down next to the waterhole as well, because they are so ungainly on the ground. Snazzy Vep, I agree with you. They are very beautiful indeed. Although their colour is rather drab, look at that crest. It's very pretty. So they're in the Turaco family. Oh, something bothered him there. Oh, there he goes, up into the tree. And that's where he'll be way more comfortable up there. Both of them sitting. So, from chasing leopards and finding lions, and we got to stop for all the little small stuff, like these grey go-away birds, which are very pretty, aren't they? And this looks like a little couple. Love is in the air. And we'll keep on moving now that they've had their drink. Let's see what else we can find. Indigo Girl. I'm going to pull up here next to the waterhole and then I'll give you my best impression of a go-away bird. And I think there's some other birds that might come down and drink. There's a few of them in the tree here, so we might just stop here and see what else comes down. Let's have a look. So, grey go-away bird. It's a... Oh, quick link, let's go to Taylor. See what she has.
Hello. I'm hoping this hornbill is going to come back again. It seems to be a little blind snake of sorts, slithering across the road, and then a yellow-billed hornbill landed on the ground, and it didn't peck it or anything, it was just observing it. I also think I can hear an aeroplane that might be coming into land. Oh, there the hornbills are behind us. Now quickly go! Get out of here before you get eaten! I can't really see what it is, but I think it is A little blind snake. It looks like it, hey? Quite marbled. Go, go, go! No, we don't normally see them too often. They're normally underground. So to see them out in the open like this is very special. Quickly! Those hornbills are going to get you, and they would love to snatch up a little snake like this. Whew. It survived. It made it. My goodness, I was panicking for a moment, weren't you, Seb?
Yes.
I mean, it would have been amazing to see, but we don't often get to see these blind snakes. So, very, very cool. Woo! That was a surprise. That was a nice surprise, in fact. Very cool. Yeah, that was pretty exciting to see. I'm so happy it got away. I'm so glad that hornbill didn't get it as a meal. I would have been a little bit sad. The hornbill's got to eat too, but my money was always on that little snaky. Very nice. We're lucky. I can't believe how many snakes I've seen. Ross, yeah, it does look quite round, hey? And you said it looked like someone rolled it out of clay. Well, smooth to the touch as well. And like I said, you don't often see them. They're typically, underneath the ground. Very cool. I was going to say something and now I've completely forgotten. Not venomous. Can't do anything. They eat things like termites. Maybe even some earthworms every now and then. Now, shoplifter, you've asked if all snakes move the same. No, not necessarily. They all have different kinds of movements. Serpentine, as you can imagine, the typical sort of S. And then you've got the Constantine movements, which I think is the one the puff adders do. I can't actually remember it. See, here's Fugasa, here's all our training, but the words that I've not used in a very long time. And then some just sort of creep. We often see also pythons doing that, and puff adders where they just sort of move their body forward and go in a straight line. They're not actually sort of doing anything like that. So I think it depends on the kind of snake. Obviously, snakes that are living in trees will have a very different technique of moving around to the ones that are living down on the ground. So I suppose it also just depends if they're terrestrial or arboreal. Saw some little birdies flying in this marula tree. I just want to see, sort of Seb, you see that branch top left, not middle, but there's a branch that goes out. If you, go down a little bit. In there we go. It just flew. What are you? A little bunting. A golden-breasted bunting. Very pretty. That's what caught my eye. Striking coloration. With that sort of mask that it's wearing, the black and white. And if it would turn to us, you'd see it have a very golden breast too. Stunning little birds. Very high-pitched tweets too. Just chitter-chattering. And then I saw something else that had red on it, but I don't know where it went. It's just bounced off. There seems to be another little bird party just in this tree. Let's see if we can spot anybody else. What we're looking for is anything that's going to bounce from a branch to a branch that will give its presence away, because this tree's still got quite a bit of leaves on it, so it is making it difficult for us to see. You can hear them all chirping in there. I just can't get a view, however. Have we got a birdie for me? Sebastian said he's seen a birdie. I don't see a birdie. Is it just flowering? Oh, there we go. Ooh, batters. Oh, just jumped down. Where are we gone? Is there? There we go, to the right. Oh, and it's got something. Oh, no, sit still. Is it a batters or is it a puffback? Come here. I can't see you. Please come out. I think it's a little batters, chin spot batters. Just waiting for it to have a look at us. It did have something in its beak, maybe a little worm of sorts. No, it's hopped on in. Oh, there's a lot to see. There's something else just flew in there that was bright. Oh, Seb, go zoom center frame and drop down a little bit. There we go, you've got it again. Straight in there. There it is. Come on, show yourself. Yeah, it is a little batters. It did look like a little... There, it's flown over there. There we go. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning bird. Look at that bright yellow eye. I'm going to bring it out. I'll need to show you. Just hopping from tree to tree. Very difficult to try and follow, as you can imagine. Stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. Okay, well, we'll come back and we'll chat a little bit more about some of the birds we've seen. We'll see if we can find them again. Off you go to Brent, who's now on a tracking mission.
Well, we've got two sets of leopard tracks here. So there's one, and there's the other. One going this way, and one going that way. Now, which one do you think is the most fresh? The one heading to the right, heading this way, or the one heading to the left, that way? So which one do you think is the most fresh of these two? I'm pretty sure this is Shidulu. Taylor followed her tracks into Buffelshoek this morning. We heard kudus alarming around the boundary as we started the walk. So which do you think is the most fresh? The one going to the right or the one going to the left? Hashtag Safari Live. Now we're going to stick around here for a little bit while you try to decide which one is which. Now we are at an area where we often get a lot of leopard tracks. It's a sort of a crossover point, so we get Hukumuri's tracks here quite often, and Shidulu's at the moment, but before we used to find Tandi, Tingana, and a lot of leopards around here. So at the moment, Shidulu has pushed Tandi almost. Their boundary is now the Mowati River. There we go. Indigo Girl, Tim, and Mrs. Zero. The one going to the right is the most fresh. So if we look here, you can just see how this track to the right has pushed sand over the track to the left. So that is the most fresh. Now, I know where these tracks go, so I'm not going to follow them. I'm hoping she's going to double back, which she quite often does. If she goes into Buffelshoek around Gallagher Shortcut, she often comes back like this. So we're going to try, hope and second guess she comes back. Okay. Now, I've been scratching around in dung this morning, looking at all those little lion claws inside the scat of a big male lion. It sounds like Rolf has got another creature who's scratching in the dung this morning.
Yes, well, we've got something else scratching in dung, and it is these little dwarf mongoose that we're just hoping are going to relax now, because they all seem to be coming back, and they're probably getting into the dung beetles and so on that are all in this nice fresh elephant dung that has been dropped here. And the little drongo is also there. He was flitting in and out, joining in the mongoose's early morning feed. And they open it up, and that makes it accessible then for the drongo. A nice fresh elephant dung, you see. So it's not just that they are helping to turn over a lot of the energy that would be trapped up in the trees and so on, and releasing it into the ground. And then the little insects and arthropods get into the dung, and then even the mammals benefit directly from elephant dung. And it is absolutely fascinating stuff. There's still a few of them on the road, but I think, these little dwarf mongoose get quite nervous, especially in open areas when you get quite close to them. They like it when there's lots of cover. But as one by one they're starting to get brave and come out. With lots of birds calling now at the moment. Cape turtle dove and the chin spot batis. And lots of the chagras as well. The brown crowned chagra doing like a falling leaf. Now, Snazzy Zep, you want to know if rodents would fight with these mongoose or like a rat. I think these mongoose would definitely come off first in that kind of situation, and I think because of the gregarious nature of mongoose, if they had to come across a rat that wanted to fight with them, that rat would be in for a surprise, because they'd have up of 10 individual mongoose that would attack it and possibly eat it, because they are carnivorous. So they can be known to attack little things like mice. They eat snakes, they eat scorpions, they eat grubs and all sorts of things. So I think the rat would be best to avoid them. But generally the rat's more nocturnal, the rodents, and the Herpestidae or the mongoose a little bit more active during the day. Not all of the Herpestidae, but especially these little dwarf mongoose. Very well adapted to digging. Okay, so I still need to do my best impression of a grey go-away bird, but we'll do that when you come back. And let's head you on over to Taylor, who I think has got a little quiz for you.
Well, Brent, I feel like you've enticed me to do a couple of quizzes. So here we go. Here's the frame that you get. Who has left these tracks in the sand? Hashtag Safari Live, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. I'm not going to get out just yet. The reason why is if I get out, I think there's going to be a few of you that will know straight away. So we're going to try and make this a little bit tricky, not to give you any size reference. But what you can see there should be more than enough to help you on your answer. So now we wait patiently. I'm wondering what the delay is on YouTube. It'll be a little while. But it's a cool one. I don't think any of the new viewers that have just joined us over the last few weeks would have seen a track like this. So that'll be quite exciting. But very cool. You can hear lots of birds also chatting in the distance. I'm sure most of you will shout it out. That is a Egyptian goose. Ooh. Ravinda, you've guessed porcupine. Good guess, but unfortunately no, this is not from a porcupine. Good guess though. We'll wait for some more. Ah, Jenny. You are the winner. You guessed correctly. You've asked, well not asked, you said a crocodile. Well done. That's exactly what we've got here. I'm going to show you very quickly. You can actually, Seb, can you see the croc?
Yes.
There he is. He's going to disappear now because I'm out of the car. So you just have a quick look. That's the culprit there. It was out sunning itself on the back. And earlier we had a question about where are all the crocodiles. There's one. I don't know where the others are. Okay, so great spot. I don't know where this croc has come from. I do see two sets of tracks, so I wonder if the crocodile didn't come up along the bank and sort of down along this way and then went nope and turned around and decided that it was going to come back into the water. It'd be a good spot to sun yourself though, but there's a lot of activity normally in this area, so it's not going to be a great spot. A lot of cars driving through. So where was I looking? Oh, here. Let me use this part as an example because it's quite nice. I'm going to get my shadow out of the way. So here you can actually see some claws in the sand from the crocodile pulling to get going. Here's a part of its leg. You can just sort of see. And then the fresher track is the tail coming over it. So when we saw it, it already quite sort of lifted itself up and was walking like that. And then the only part that typically is dragging is just the lower half of the tail. And then all the way down. They can move really quickly. I'm not sure as to how quickly a crocodile can run on land, but I've seen them running through shallow water and on the sand. And it is super, super fast. So always be careful. Always keep your eyes on the crocs, because you never know what they might do. And that was quite a big one. That'll be either Vladimir. I think that might be Vladimir. In fact, it was a big crocodile. Nice to see though. And if it's in really, really soft sand, and you can also see all the little scales, it's very pretty. You can see why people, or the pattern that they sort of leave on the sand, you can see why people would want to use their skin for leather. These crocodiles, however, are safe. They don't have to worry about that. And we'll be turning you into a handbag. That's the beauty of living out here. We try to keep the animals nice and safe. Okay. Shoplifter. Oh. The squirrels. Let's see if they come back out. They were chasing one another. Look, look, look. Can you see them? There they are on that log. There's two squirrels. Shoplifter, you were quite excited about the fact that you got to see that. Very cool. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see two squirrels. And they were chasing one another. Let's see if it's a bit of a game. Not shouting or making any sounds, but they are racing around. Or they're very funny to watch. And wait for the next one to follow in suit. Having a little rub up against that tree. Maybe doing a bit of scent marking. A bit of grooming now, cleaning your face. Wash those eyes. Yeah, look there. Having a grand old time. That was really interesting. It looked like they were fighting at one point, but then again, the last time that I said I thought two small creatures were fighting, it turned out that it was not that. It was a complete opposite, in fact. And they're just disappearing. Very cool. Very active on the dam wall. We go forward a little bit. We actually came here to check behind the dam wall to see if Osana or Tingana, two leopards, are maybe around here. I haven't seen anything yet. We'll quickly have a look, and then there's two roly-poly hippopotamus. There we go. I'm just going to stop so you can have a look. Also, just still checking down here, but we'll have a proper scratch in a minute. Now, Anna Marie, kind of like the question we had this morning with how far can lions sort of move in a day. It will refer to the crocodile question. Crocodiles can also travel huge distances when they're not in the water. However, they don't necessarily want to go anywhere if there's water around. So we did see some crocodiles last year out of the water, which was really cool to see, and quite far away. One had travelled all the way from Chitwa and ended up on Buffelshoek boundary, and was sort of out and about for quite some time. So it wasn't particularly far, but if they need to, I'm sure they would just stop and take breaks, and until they find, another water source. If the one that they were in dried up, then they're going to have to go, kind of like the hippos. If the water dries up here, they'll have to move. It might not be a journey all in one day. It might take a little while. Very cool. Very, very cool, though, to see the hippos. They seem to be a little bit more active now. There's our young friend who's got a bit of a gash out of its side. The hippo with all the oxpeckers on its body. We've seen this little one a few times. Maybe another hippo, maybe a crocodile got a bit cheeky, who knows. Right, anyways, Brent, however, is a lot more excited than these hippos are, and I'm not sure why.
Well, earlier someone wanted to see aardvark tracks. So we're in the area. As I said, there's quite a lot of aardvarks here. So I would come to, the last time I was here, these aardvark burrows were incredibly active. This is not active. You can see the spider webs in the way. And it looks like a warthog's been here to come check whether it was worth having a snooze in the aardvark burrow. But it hasn't been used in a couple of days. But now this is mostly excavated in the last couple of weeks. I'm just going to show you here quickly. So how much sand has been excavated by this aardvark? So obviously the sand's quite loose here, and if I push my stick down, look at that. So that's now to the sort of the top of the soil. That is a huge amount of sand over a big area. So this particular hole's not being used at the moment, but there are about 15 or 20 around here. So we're going to keep moving. This one also not being used currently. You can just see no fresh tracks of anything. Okay, let's move along. There's a whole myriad of little, well, not little, some of them are quite big excavations up ahead here. Now, the last time I was here, I was tracking Hukamuri, and he was poking his head in a lot of these holes. Okay, so still no fresh aardvark tracks, but I'm hoping one of these big burrows up ahead here gives us some fresh excavation, and we can see a track nicely. So we're right here. Okay, we're right here. And this is the one that was most active last time I was here. Unfortunately, they've moved on. There's no fresh tracks at any of these big excavations. Now, they do have quite a lot of different holes around here. So we're going to keep poking around, checking if we can find any fresh sign of aardvark. In the meantime, let's send you back to Rolf, who's staring into the water.
Well, everyone, we just popped in here at Buffelshoek Dam, and we're just checking up on Madam Egyptian Goose, and 7 goslings. They all seem to be safe and sound. They're all just foraging a little bit there, sticking their heads under the water. Speaking of sticking their heads under the water, we've also got old Scuba Steve and his girlfriend that we'll have a look at there. And one of them is still being very shy, just the nostrils poking out, and there it goes under. But at least there's 2 of them. Two's company, as they say. But very tranquil here, very nice setting. And there the little goslings carry on. Mommy doing a bit of preening, sorting out her feathers. Oh, yes, Luke, thanks for reminding me. Let me disturb the tranquility and give you my best great go-word impression. So, it is just, mostly when they go up in the trees, when they do an alarm call, it's just like a coo, coo. But generally when they give a proper call, now I'm being watched by Scuba Steve. He's probably quite interested, and there he's showing his disgust. But the normal call that they give is a quack, quack. And that's where the go away comes from. Quack, quack. And in Afrikaans they actually call it a quaffel, because it's a quack, quack. Very descriptive names in Afrikaans indeed. Sorry about that, Scuba Steve. I know it's not very good, is it? There we've got the dissatisfied nostrils poking out as well. And there she's gone. Go away! Yeah. So they quite interesting birds there, and we had a lovely encounter with those 2 coming down for a drink. It's not often that you get to see that. Often see them up in the trees and giving away your position as you're walking through the bush. But these goslings seem to be going along quite nicely. Doesn't seem like there's any crocodiles in Buffelshoek Dam, but like I've said before, I wouldn't trust it. But that means that those goslings have probably got a very good chance of survival. I think Taylor said that there might have, if I'm not mistaken, which I quite possibly could be, I think there was 8, and there's now 7. But 8 little goslings are a lot of little bodies to take care of. So, and even 7 is still a lot. So she's still done pretty well up until now. There's 7 of them there. If she's only lost 1, well, she's still doing a very good job at it. I walk in the rain. Yes, we do have some birds that breed all year round. And there are particular ones, I think, like doves. They're quite prolific breeders. The pigeons as well, not all of them, but the more common species. So a lot of the common species that you find all over the place. I think the hardy-daws also aren't too temperamental as to when exactly they breed. So there are some birds that, yes. And those are the ones, like the warthog, like some of the impala. I mean, we see in the Masai Mara, the impala breed all year round. They're the ones that are going to be more successful, because they're not limiting themselves to, firstly, A, resources, and B, a limited amount of offspring. So the more offspring you have, the more chance they have of survival. And I think the Egyptian geese also are pretty random as well. And they have lots of little goslings. And we have actually, in the more built-up areas that are encroaching onto the wilderness zones along the rivers of South Africa, there is actually a real explosion of the population of Egyptian geese. And my theory is, I've said it before, and I'm still sticking with that, I think that there's been a real reduction in the population of otters. Because of dogs, because of pollution, because of all sorts of different factors, human encroachment, etc. And there's not enough predators taking out these little goslings, which, yes, is very sad when a gosling dies, but at the same time, the animal that we're not seeing, which is an apex predator in these riverine systems and little freshwater ecosystems, is the otters. and we didn't even know that they were there because they're so secretive. But now that they're gone, there are other animals that are obviously proliferating, and the Egyptian goose being one of them. So it's always important to take care of your apex predators, because they are the real balancing factor within the entire system. And once you take that out, you have all sorts of shortcomings down the line. And shortcomings isn't necessarily a reduction in population. It can be an explosion in population, because then that affects other things below it. So it's very interesting to watch and see what happens when that does happen. But yeah, it's very sad that a lot of the otters are now gone. Gara lamb, yes. These birds could definitely fall prey to other birds. Any of the raptors. You could have even pale chanting goshawks, or you could have some of the eagles, or even yellow-billed kites. And these little goslings would fall easy prey if they fall too far behind the adults. Very easy to be picked off. But if you see what these geese, the adults, how aggressive they are, if they spot anything coming towards them, you'll know that yes, the predators could take the goslings out, but they'd have to get past the adults. So it's when the little goslings wander off all on their own that they do become vulnerable, like that little one there. But they're still within sort of range of mommy calling them back in quite quickly. Now, Carol, we don't get beavers in Africa. I believe it's only in North America that you get beavers, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely not in Africa. We get otters. So we get a couple of different species of otters, but they don't build dams like the beavers do. They literally just they move through the riverine systems, and they eat crabs and fish and little birds like this, and they're very secretive as well. So very interesting, but I think they're probably related to beavers, but not exactly the same kind of habits, and also a different distribution completely. So probably very similar origin though, and then they've just evolved in their particular habitats quite differently. Right, I think I'm going to leave the family of goslings and Scuba Steve and his girlfriend. This is a very passionate little pond, isn't it? Well, there's not too much else happening, so let's leave them be, head on and see what else we can find. Okay, so while we go on the search and try to maybe find some hyena signs, it's a little bit late in the morning, but maybe we'll get up on some leopard. Let's head on over to Brent, who's still out on foot.
The butterfly flew away. Darn it. It was a little joker. It was sitting so nicely, and then it went away. We're going to keep moving then. So it's quite interesting. Shadulu's tracks are going up and down here, but we know where the most fresh one is, and that's that side. So what we're doing is we're hoping she's done that big loop, and she's going to pop out somewhere in front of us at the moment. So nice, lovely tracks here. These are the most fresh tracks, the ones of her going that way. Even though we're not tracking her per se, I don't know. I've thoroughly enjoyed walking almost the whole morning. Apart from a spot of about 800 meters, there's been big cat tracks visible. We walked on the tracks of the Nkuhumas. We saw where they came in. There's another track. David, do you know what that track is? This one here. No. Oh, and David doesn't know what the track is. Do any of you know what the track is at home? Hashtag Safari Live. It's this track here I'm talking about. Along, not straight line, but more or less straight line. David, I'm disappointed in you. Cool, that's a very cool track. I can't believe we haven't seen any aardvark tracks yet either. Don't stand on the... Oh, David stood on the track. It's okay, David. I'll forgive you this time. But we're about to come out to Impala Plains at the moment, so hopefully we will actually see a living beast and not just tracks. There could be some impala, some zebra, maybe even some wildebeest out on the open area as we approach. Now, despite what most people tell you, and particularly for some reason people who, Jamie, well done, spot on and so quick. It is a giant African land snail that left that track. Well done. You can see the slime leaving a little bit of sort of stickiness that stuck the sand together. Now, speaking of stickiness, we went in to go look at that aardvark den, and we get covered in this very white, see that white sticky stuff there. Now, if I taste it, yum. It's quite sugary. It's quite sweet. So what's happening is I've been trying to find a really good example of it, but here we go. If we look at the panicum grasses at the moment, you can see it almost looks like mold, but it's actually not. What's happening is it's the pollen from the grass flowers, and it's very sticky because it's very high in sugar and starch, and that gets stuck to animals passing through. Of course, the stickiness and sweetness is more to attract the insects into it. Oh, Dave, how stable are you feeling? Pretty stable. Because here we've got pollen, but we've still got an incredibly beautiful grass flower there on the panicum maximum. Look at that. So you can see the flower there. Ooh, let's try it. Let me move that so we don't move everything. There we go. That should make a difference. Let me just try keep it still. Isn't that cool? So that white stuff that actually sticks all over our clothes, our legs, is the pollen from the grass at the moment, caused by an explosion from the late rain. Now, how long do you think we can keep Dave's arm hanging on there? Okay, well done, David. I'll forgive you for the palm swifts yesterday. In the meantime, let's go across to Madam McCurdy, who's still bumbling about.
On who? I think she's going to the Mara, I think. Oh, I don't know. Oh. Hello. Sorry about that. Yes. Sebastian and I were just... You got comms now, hey, Seb? Seb and I were just chatting about who's coming back, who's going where, who's doing what. So we're just bumbling. We're back on Djuma now. We drove down Gari Main. And then... What else did we do? We looked for leopard tracks. We didn't see any leopard tracks. And now we drove Shibamu Road. And we're going to stop and have a look at Treehouse Dam. And then we'll go along Savage's track back towards Philemon's cut line. And then I think we'll probably jump onto Rebecca's or something like that. I haven't quite decided just yet what our next move is going to be. Anyways, so just going back looking at... sorry, I completely forgot to carry on the conversation about the chin spot batters. But I did want to tell you that was a male. And but I know Brent was super excited about all the leopard tracks that he had. So that was a beautiful male chin spot batters. You don't often get to see them, so it was a nice little sighting. It took us a while to sort of get there, hey Seb, where they're bouncing about, but eventually settling down. So that was really nice. And I think when I said I saw something maybe a little bit red, let's have a quick look at the dam. I think it may have been the rusty sort of colour of the female. There's some little birds just down to the tree somewhere there. I can just see them fluttering at the water's edge. If you go a little bit to the left, is a three-banded plover, but there were a few more. I think there were some wax bulls. Are they still there? Have they moved off? They don't normally stay down at the water's edge. If you go to the left, you can see just kind of where that drongo dived in. There were some little birds that were just sitting on the edge of the water. There they fly. Who are you? Oh, they're having a little bath. There's little blue wax bulls. There we go. That's very pretty. Having a great birding morning, aren't we? Oh, very nice. Like I was saying. Oh, and a green-winged partilia too. Or Melba finch is the old name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little blue wax bills, and then the green-winged partilia. That's great. It's been a long time since I saw one. I thought I'd had a glimpse of one. So not only do birds dust bath, but they do come and bathe themselves in water. Very vulnerable being out here, though. there are any little falcons and things about, they would definitely take the opportunity to try and snatch up one of these tasty morsels. Well, it'll be a tasty morsel for a falcon, not for you and I. Oh, it's so cool. For those of you, I bet, that have any bird baths and things around your house, it must be one of your favorite activities. It's just to sit and watch them come down and have a little bath. Not here, they have to use the big dams or the mud wallows if they allow it to. Obviously, they don't want to go into the deep water. And then, if you're the drongo, and drongo, it just sort of blopped into the water and wasn't wasting its time. That's so cool. So nice to see. I was hoping some more maybe little 5-inches and things would come in and join that green-winged partelia and the waxbills, but no. Wisteria, you've been quite enjoying this. Me too. I love watching little birds do their thing. And it's not often that we get to see the smaller birds. Like I said, we've been lucky there. Battus was a great sighting. And this lot have all been quite cool. Sometimes it's nice not to have little leopards and always have leopards and things. There's a dove. Hello. Cape turtle dove. Or a ring-necked dove. You see, it's not a red-eyed dove because it doesn't have a bright red eye. That's the most obvious way. Just marching along. I assume it's going to come down for a drink. Just looking for an appropriate spot. Here's another one. Oh, no, it's okay. Bathing. Oh, there we go. So there's a fork-tailed drongos. And like I said, bathing in a different way rather than going to the water's edge and splashing about. It looks like it's going to do it again. But rather flying down, hitting the surface of the water. Let's see, please do it again for us. I'm sure it will. You can just see it fluttering around. Been doing it a couple of times. And that's quite a unique way. I think I'd prefer that option. Dive down, hit the water fairly quickly, then go back to your perch. But they are fairly vigilant birds, the fork-tailed drongos. That one looked like it had a little bit of like rustish colour in its wings. Sometimes you do see that, a little tinge of brown on the fork-tailed drongos. Now, vigorously cleaning itself. Maybe it's a juvenile. The possibility that it could indeed be a juvenile. Making sure those feathers are all nice and clean. Looking very shiny in the beautiful light. Right, but we'll move